Heyo value investors, how are you doing? My name is Stijn, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video we're doing an update on Gilat Satellite Networks and we'll try to decide if it's still a buy in March 2021. To start off the analysis on Gilat, we'll first do a deeper dive on what Gilat Satellite is, does and why it's so interesting. After this we'll talk all about the news articles released recently. Third, we'll do an in-depth analysis on their 2020 earnings report and I'll try to determine if it's a bullish or a bearish sign for the longer term growth prospects of Gilat Satellite Networks. And lastly, we'll try to determine if it's still a heavy buy like I proclaimed in my last videos, and I'll give you guys my own buy targets and price predictions. Let's go. So, what does Gilat Satellite Networks do and what is their competitive edge? Well, to understand why Gilat Satellite Networks is so interesting, we'll first need to look at the 5G revolution that is bound to happen. I did a more in-depth analysis in my last update on Gilat Satellite Networks, so check that one out if you want to know more about the 5G revolution. But in short, 5G promises to be leaps and bounds ahead of current technology, which happens to be 4G and LTE. And this is exactly what we humans need, since we need way more bandwidth and connectivity if we want to have autonomous vehicles, smart homes, smart cities, etc, all connected to the same networks. Awesome, so 5G is the future. And this is where Gilat Satellite Networks comes in. Gilat Satellite Networks is active in 4 main sectors. The first is the defense sector. The second is the broadband, so cable sector. The third is the mobility sector, so think of internet providers of airplanes, cruise ships, trains. And the fourth, for me most interesting, is the mobile cellular backhaul. So mobile cellular backhaul is basically the backbone of a 5G network. Think of it like this: the internet needs a really solid infrastructure. Otherwise things get lost, clustered or slowed down. And in this analogy, mobile cellular backhaul is basically a super highway for this internet network. We of course need more highway or backhaul capacity if we want to power the 5G revolution. And Gilat is right there to make use of this trend. And to prove their competitiveness, you just need to take a look at all the contracts Gilat was able to sign. Multi-million-dollar deals seem to be a weekly occurrence for Gilat. And in the mobile cellular backhaul, Gilat doesn't actually make satellites, but rather the terminals and antennas satellite networks need to operate. Gilat makes the following products: VSAT, or Very Small Aperture Terminal, which is a two-way satellite ground station with a dish antenna. Mobile networks, so the connectivity of airplanes, ships, soldiers, etc. need to connect to the satellite network. Antenna systems and bugs, which is a crucial part for any antenna or transceiver. So to summarize their products, they have a really wide spectrum of products that can be delivered and used as a plug and play part of a larger network. And as far as I can tell, they are on the cutting edge of mobile technology and are used by Boeing, Airbus as well as military aircraft. Therefore, knowing they have such a wide portfolio of competitive products, Gilat could form a great value proposition if the price is right. More on this in the buy targets part of this video. As of the 9th of March, so 2 days ago, Isaac Angel was appointed chairman of the board of directors, effective immediately. He effectively replaces Dov Barov, who stepped down recently to retire, after a 7-year venture with Gilat Satellite Networks. According to Gilat, Isaac Angel brings a lot of experience with him. In the past, he has served as chairman and CEO at Orma Technologies, which is a renewable energy company. And he was also active at Leadcom Integrated Solutions, Verifone, and Lipman Electronics Engineering. To me, this move was completely logical, since Dov Barov is of 17 years of age, therefore is totally due to retirement. And to me, adding Isaac Angel to the board as chairman seems like a good decision for the longer term vision of this company. Another article that was recently published is the following: Wavestream, a wholly owned subsidiary of Gilat, is currently constructing the Aerostream 40KU, which is an in-flight connectivity high-power transceiver. So basically the next generation internet connectivity for airplanes. Recently they tested their IFC transceiver with Global Eagle Entertainment. And they received a certification for environmental condition testing for airborne equipment. This brings them one step closer to the airworthiness certification they need for in-flight use. So they're one step closer to the production of this product. They are planning to ship these Aerostream 40KU products for use in commercial aircraft starting from the second quarter of 2021. so in just a couple of months. This is great news, and once they get all the certification they need, this product can totally increase revenue streams for Gilat. Extremely reliable, expected to have way more bandwidth compared to current models, and similar pricing. Looks like a good product with some proper competitive advantages. Good to see. Now their 2020 earnings report. Even with their slightly lackluster sales performance, thanks to the COVID bad boy, Gilat still managed to get an EPS or earnings per share of 63 cents. This is awesome news, especially if you compare it to their 66 cents EPS in 2019. They basically managed to get up to the same EPS while having to deal with the worldwide pandemic. And during this pandemic, the aviation industry is literally standing still. Of course, thanks to the standstill, they couldn't fill many orders this year. And of course, a large part of their cash flow positiveness is coming from their failed acquisition, which they raised the capital for in 2019 and now are distributing back to shareholders through dividends. Even though that's true, it's still great seeing Gilat reduce cost of revenues dramatically from 2017, 2018 and even 2019. They got their costs down from 200 million in 2017 all the way down to 124 million in 2020. In the long run, I believe 2020 was a great year for Gilat. They managed to decrease cost of revenue while still adding tons and tons of new contracts. And in doing so, they proved once again that they can continue to grow at an absolutely staggering rate for years to come. So to summarize, their 2020 earnings was better than I actually expected. And that's of course a really bullish sign for the upcoming years. And that leads me to the buy targets part of this video. Well, the juicy 2020 earnings changed quite a bit for the price predictions I made in my last video on Gilat. If anything, they made me more bullish and even more confident on the buy targets I gave. If you want to know more about how I research my companies and calculate my buy targets, I would advise watching this video I did on the topic. Well, let's start out with an EPS of 63 cents, which is higher than the numbers we used before. If we then grow this EPS at 20% compounded for a decade, which is in my opinion a completely reasonable growth rate for such a company, we get to the future EPS of $4.09 per share in just 10 years. This means that Gilat could reach an EPS of $4 in 2031 if they manage to grow at 20% compound for a decade. Seems reasonable. Now we need to determine what is a fair price to pay for this EPS. I think 30 is quite conservative as a future PE ratio. Therefore, we predict Gilat could reach up to $4.09 times 30 equals $122 in 2031. Cool. So since the stock is trading at around $12 currently, and if we manage to buy at today's prices, that's 10x potential. Now we should discount this $122 at 15% per year, which is my minimum return on investment, and we get to a fair price to pay of $30. But as a margin of safety, we take off another 50%. So our margin of safety or heavy buy target price comes in at $15. Anything under $15 seems to be an amazing deal, and I'm buying heavy under this mark. Please keep in mind these numbers could be completely off and you should totally do your own research. And keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video on Gilat. And if you did, please give it a like and maybe even subscribe. Comment down below what you want to talk about next, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.